All right, let's talk culture.
Let's talk culture. I want to know why it matters. So I know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But every time we look at employee engagement scores, when we look at recruiting and we look at attract, engage, and retain talent,
Yeah.
culture's threaded everywhere.
Yes.
So if I just stop and say culture, what is that? How do you define that?
How do I define it?
Yeah, how would you define that?
I would define it as the personality of an organization along with their values. And those things, I think, can be overtly and intentionally constructed, or they could accidentally happen, or they could sort of evolve organically. And
Okay.
those are all sort of, I think you could point to different organizations who kind of meet those different kind of feelings when you walk the halls.
What does a great culture look like? Why do you want to create one? What's the purpose of actually crafting a culture?
I would say that once you get more than, me and you starting a company today right here,
We could do that.
we could do that.
We could do that right now. It'd be a fun culture.
It would be an amazing culture. So we need to make decisions.
Yeah.
We need to decide how we're going to show up and how we're going to come together to sort of represent our business.
Mm-hmm.
There is an opportunity to do that with a big degree of intention. So I think some of the big benefits of being intentional about culture, like what are the list of things, the words that we value that represent who we are, how is that going to manifest in how we communicate our product or position our value to the market or to our employees, I think lead to speed, better execution, more predictable, probably more scalable, and people understand how to work together a little bit more clearly. I mean, it can be confusing, right, if you don't understand what is it we represent or how do we make decisions. So a lot of the things like values and culture can be kind of a backstop or something you can lean on to interact and make decisions and understand how to navigate all the ambiguity that comes with working any company of any size.
So as a recruiter, how do you leverage culture? Like where do you start advertising it? Where do you start threading in your conversations and do you use it to your advantage? Or if it's a bad culture, how do you do your gig?
Yeah.
Give me some insight on the recruiting side.
I believe that it's something you need to show and make sure that candidates, as an example, can feel at any touch point they have with your company. So you could literally say, we value this word and that word and that word. That's one approach. I think a better human way to do it is do everything you can at every touch point to actually manifest and show them. So as an example, if I'm reaching out to you, say, in a LinkedIn InMail,
Okay.
and Pat, Jeremy says you're fantastic. I would love to talk to you about this CHR role at our great company. There's things that I would want to do even in that communication, in that interaction that should be reflective of the things that literally our values and our culture. So
you give me a sense of it, like the tone, the way you write, you just start giving me snippets, peaks of culture.
Yeah, and I think from a recruiting point of view, you need to sort of be mindful and conscious of the fact that you're doing that. So if I'm going to sit down and write an email, I need to say, this needs to really embody our culture, because this is going to be a touch point that you have. Any little interaction you have is going to be you shaping your perception of what is this company like. So the first interaction you have with any candidate, do not miss the opportunity to find an intentional way
To seed it.
Yeah, and probably do it through in an authentic way.
So what if it's bad? Like, I've not been in a company that doesn't have some not so cute sides of it,
Totally.
right? We're not all perfect.
Yep.
So do you go, hey, this is what we're great at, like boom, 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 and
Yep.
then like, what you're going to find is the following? Or like, how do you navigate that so people, like the worst thing to do is walk in with shock, like you sold me BS.
Yeah. From a candidate point of view?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do your diligence. I mean, my take, I had a blog post about this. Feel free to check out the blog post. Was about sort of unselling the opportunity. Because, if you're positioning everything that's great about the organization, part of what I believe strongly is, and there's some things that we don't do that well. Things are not perfect here. This is not for everyone. You need to do whatever you need to do. Find people who left the organization who didn't like it. And I can give you names, like really be overt about it. And you need to determine whether what we value and what you've experienced during your interviews, et cetera, is going to be a place that you show up every day and you have zero surprises. So I think as on the candidate side, you need to do a ton of diligence. You as the recruiting individual, I think, are responsible for making them do their diligence. Because if I don't do that and you come in and you be like, I heard it's amazing, life is life, and work life is no different than life outside work. Things happen, things aren't perfect. You could come back a month later and be like, Brendan, you sold me this bill of goods. I'm really having a tough time. Not sure I'm going to stay. Your retention risk. We got to pull in the HR folks to help make sure that we can reel things back in. You don't want that.
Yeah, I don't
So
want that.
do your diligence. There's lots of sites externally one could check out. I mean, do your homework.
So I think we talked a lot about culture. We riffed on it. I think they got some good tidbits.
I hope so.
There's no right or wrong culture. It's what works for you, and it's what your promise is and if you deliver it. Thanks, Brendan.
See you next time.